What's up? I was going to make a video. I have about 8 days left until my last chemotherapy session, hopefully. So I say hopefully all the time because I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully it's the last one and I don't have to, and I'm cured on my PET scan. But, so I was going to make this video, 8 days left, kind of what my plan was to, I guess, keep this shit from coming back if I'm cleared at the end of that. So, when you're looking to cure a disease and you don't know how to cure it, you look for people that, I guess, spontaneous remission, or people in which they were cured, and what they did to try to duplicate it, hopefully. So, I did some searching, and I feel like most of the stuff is probably bullshit. But on the off chance it isn't, I feel like I might duplicate some of the things that they say they did. So there's in particular one lady, I think her name's Tammy, but she had Hodgkin's and there's this guy named Chris Cures Cancer, and he had colon cancer, had it cut out, and it didn't come back. But it said he had Mets to his lymphatic system, so he didn't want to do chemo, this Chris guy. And he changed his diet, and supplementation, vitamins, stuff like that. So maybe it's that the surgery cured it, and that's why he's cured. But he's maintaining a durable remission, we'll say. Um, but there's this lady that he interviews. I think her name's Tammy, I want to say, but Hodgkin's lymphoma. She got a PET scan. So this is all her word, and I can't verify any of it. I looked. Said she had a PET scan, and they did a bone marrow biopsy, which is kind of strange doing a bone marrow biopsy. They don't always do it. They sometimes do, but I don't know. So what she also did was like raw vegan diet and she says she's maintained a cure for. She had a different type of Hodgkin's. It's not classical type, but I forget exactly what her type is. But anyway, didn't do chemo because wanted to trust God, even though it has one of the best success rates, which again doesn't make sense with me. I mean, it was the fertility issue for her, but ABVD, the chemotherapy that she would have probably been under, she said something about R-CHOP, I believe, but maybe they treated it differently. But anyway, the fertility issue, she didn't, so she did diet changes, and also some supplementation. So, and they advocate this book, which I did read, that has some things in it. One of them is called the Budwig Protocol. So it is cottage cheese mixed with flax oil. So they say it does something to the cellular membranes of abnormal cells. I don't know, but I don't think that me eating cottage cheese blended with flaxseed oil is going to hurt anything. So on the off chance it does help, sure, I'll give it a shot. So as you know, the thing that I've been advocating or saying that I do take is this Lenten, and I added beta D glucan, beta 1,3-D glucan. So now those are basically, they take a mushroom, and your body recognizes the mushroom as an infection, starts increasing its natural killer cells, so cancer is killed, as I understand, mostly by natural killer cells. I think cytotoxic T cells, or T helper 8, whatever. The cytotoxic T cells and natural killer cells. But there's been studies that have backed this. It was called MGN3 originally. And actually weird that I found that the FDA sued them, something over labeling, but sued them and the company had to go under and switch to this. I didn't know this originally, but that's a little weird that the FDA would sue them over labeling. I didn't look more into it, but anyway, the studies back that this thing works for increasing your natural killer cells. I forget the figure of how much exactly it increases your natural killer cells, but enough to where I'm going to take it. It makes sense that it would work. And a lot of other people back that as that it would work. I don't think they've done any studies, as far as I could find, on it reducing your chances of cancer, but it does boost natural killer cells, and I know natural killer cells are what's going to kill my cancer, if I have any left. Hopefully I don't. So yeah, that's another thing I'm going to be doing after, well, continuing to. But then there's some weirder things I'm going to do at the end. A little demon baby. Annabella. But, so some other things I'm going to be doing that are a little bit more maybe fringe, but I will show you them and I'll tell you why I'm doing it. One of them is a multivitamin that a doctor came up with. I think it's David William, Daily Advantage Vitamin. I don't know, it's just a vitamin. Hey. But, yeah. Boom. I'll be back. Yes, so the person that cured their cancer, that says they cured their cancer, you see that? No armpit hair, baby. But, that cured her cancer that had non-Hodgkin's or Hodgkin's lymphoma, non-classical type, was Courtney Campbell. And I also posted on her video to show her PET scan to prove it, basically. Prove that you had cancer at all. Because, I don't know, I'm a physician. I believe in evidence. So I need it. And no one responded to me yet. Maybe they will with this video. I'll share her link, down at the bottom. But the book that I read, Bill Henderson, Cancer Free, Guide to Gentle Non-Toxic Healing. So I think it's risky. I'm not advocating for you to ever go against. I want you to go with what has more evidence. So chemotherapy, it has more evidence. You should do what is going to give you the best shot at survival. But yeah. So back to what I was getting at anyway. Back to my diet. So we know that they need sugar, and there's also been other studies. One of them was with breast cancer tumors that were triple negative, so not so breast cancer cells that were not didn't have hormone receptors on there, so just normal breast cancer without like any hormonal influence, like so they usually use tamoxifen, an estrogen blocker, to treat some cancers if they have those hormone receptors on them. But one study found that these cells, so like the insulin, these cells need nutrients because they're rapidly dividing. So one of the studies, they grew them in different media, and they completely removed cysteine from it, so an amino acid. And these cells rapidly die. So they basically kill them they have their own signal to cell death, I guess. Rapidly. So these cancer cells, by nutrition, or basically by what nutrients they have available, or amino acids, whatever, starve them to death and cause them to create a signal of basically cell death in a tumor cell. So that's what I want to basically see if I can duplicate in my own body, is starve these cancer cells of what they need enough while still maintaining weight, basically, or eating healthy, and starve them of the glucose or whatever it is that they need. So my diet should hopefully do that. Beautiful view back there, the lake. But so yeah, what I'm going to be doing is basically I hate the term, I think it's a raw vegan diet. I don't really know exactly what that means, but what I'm going to be doing is duplicating what those people, Chris and that other girl, they say they cured their cancer with diet. So I don't really see a negative. I did look into, there were some people thinking that it could make, if you're doing it on chemotherapy, they study sometimes starvation and like actual starvation, like fasting, and making like super cancer by not needing insulin, being more. But anyway, like treatment-resistant cancers, with particular breast cancer, I can't really find much evidence on Hodgkin's, but it can be done. So my diet, just vegetables, no fruits because they're kind of higher glycemic. so basically I'm going to be eating meat. I'm going to try to go 0, but I can't do that. I love meat. So, like once or twice a week, I'm going to try to limit it and just have like organic chicken or like cold water fish. If I can, that's what I'm trying to go for. I mean, it's really hard. I still want to enjoy my life, and I mean, eating is like a huge enjoyment for us Americans, I guess. But yeah, and as far as alcohol, I mean, I haven't been drinking because I'm on chemotherapy, other than maybe like probably 3 times, something like that, since I've been on chemo. And I'm gonna cut out all like beer when I'm done. Try to go just like champagne or wine. Um, it just seems like it would be better if I'm going to drink it all. Um, but yeah, as long as I can for about 6 weeks, and then kind of a maintenance diet after that. So on to a couple more fringe things that less journal articles or support for, but just of note. There's like random testimonials of people not associated with any of the products. But anyway, so there's this physician in Texas. He had like 3 court cases against him for breaking what's called standard of care. So he focused on treating, Dr. Burdinsky is his name. He focused on treating brain tumors, specifically ones that were, so brain cancer is one that there's very little treatment. It's usually terminal, not really much that works for it. But he has achieved durable cures over 20 years, few of his patients, and they were, so the patients prove it. They've been diagnosed at some of the best, like MD Anderson, some of the best cancer places. So they know that they had this, and they know that they're now cancer free. And he won all 3 of his cases. I think it's still ongoing. Maybe the last one is. I know in 2016 it was still ongoing. But anyway, he uses anti-neoplastins. So anti-neoplastins is supposedly to revert the cell from a cancer cell back to a normal cell. Anti-neoplastic, but neoplastin. But anyway, so I don't know exactly what he uses, but the FDA was trying to get him to lose his license and stop practicing, and he hasn't yet, as far as I know. But he achieved some cures. One of them, there was like this infant at the time, and she went through chemo radiation the normal route, and then when they sent her home, the father, who is a police officer, homicide police officer, I believe. They have all this in the court cases, and you can watch the videos and stuff. I can post a link if you want me to. But anyway, she had brain cancer, had treatment, chemo and radiation, sent home. He treats her. She gets a cure, ends up dying from brain necrosis from the radiation. Years later, like 3 years later, when she was only given like a month or 2 to live. But anyway, so some of these supplements. So, graviola. Dangers are nerve issues. Well, vinblastine, one of the chemo I'm on every 2 weeks, also has nerve issues. I'm not going to take that while I'm on chemo. I don't know that I'm going to take it for sure, but it did show to be more effective on treating a breast cancer. Doesn't mean it would work for Hodgkin's, but in the lab, that was the one study. No human trials on it. But worth noting, pure graviola or pawpaw. Pawpaw is, I think, about the same thing as the graviola. There's a city in Michigan, Pawpaw, Michigan, and there's a physician there that advocates for it. He believes in it. I might try it after chemotherapy, but the nerve issues can give you like a Parkinson-like symptoms from it. But I already have enough nerve issues from the vinblastine. Another thing, but it is, I mean, some people swear by it that they've cured their Hodgkin specifically. One African-American lady lives in the islands. I don't remember exactly which one. But was treated at NYU with chemo. Had her cancer come back and swears that that's what cured her. She just used that and didn't go through more chemo. But again, I can't substantiate these claims. SEXT. So this was just a human study did show that it improved quality of life during chemotherapy. I haven't started taking it. I just haven't even opened it. Just now took the wrapper off it. But I might take it before my last thing. So it's like a few different roots that supposedly can maybe cure cancer. But it did show they had no negative effects to that particular one while on chemotherapy, and did show improved quality of life while on it. So whatever. I mean, I'm up for it. Vitamin C, good with curing cancer, or good with being able, like I said, the producing hydrogen peroxide in your cells, basically oxidizing or killing the cancer. So IV vitamin C is something people do. There was some guy out on the East Coast that was using it in combination with one of the B vitamins, but had a good go with sepsis. We had a doctor at my hospital, Genesis, who was trying to give vitamin C infusions for sepsis, and my hemonc doctor is the one who shut it down. I don't know. I mean, he had good evidence out on the East Coast. I forget the doctor's name. I don't really remember. But anyway, so I'm not going to go with the IV infusions. I thought about it, but these naturopaths want like a $1,500 concierge fee, and then it's like $285 for an IV infusion. So I looked up. So eating vitamin C itself, which I do, chewables because it tastes good, but they can't reach a high enough level to get like therapeutic with like what they're trying to do with the IV vitamin C. But apparently liposomal vitamin C, or lipospheric also vitamin C, can reach a higher, it uses, I forget what it is, I used to have a supplement of it, but it uses something to get the vitamin C in there, be more soluble. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take it before my last chemo. I've been taking vitamin C the whole time. Oregano oil, another thing that Chris guy says he takes, the one who had colon cancer, that probably was surgically cured. But anyway, he takes it. I'm down to chance it. Oregano oil, I couldn't find any real side effects of it. Domacha tea. It's like green tea. It has green tea in it, I believe. Also some other things like licorice root. But nothing really negative side effect. But I'm going to hold off on that till after chemo. May it affect my last chemotherapy at all. Another thing, barley powder. Green Supreme. It's just like antioxidant. I'm not going to take that obviously while I'm on chemo, but after. I figured that barley isn't, it's not going to kill me, or it's not going to harm me at all. Then L-proline and L-lysine amino acids, that's also been shown, I think, in a couple studies to be a little bit effective. And, yeah, that's about it. And the testimonials, that is, like, #1 everywhere. People say for all different types of cancers. And you can just Google it. But the dosing on Rick Simpson oil, so it's like, as far as what the internet says, like a pea-sized of this oil, they take it, and then you work up to like a gram of it a day. Now, I don't know, I think I'd lose my mind from the anxiety it would give me, but I mean, there's a few different videos you can watch where they do prove that they had the diagnosis of cancer. They have the PET scans on there. I've looked at them, and not the PET scans, but I've looked at the reads of these PET scans. And these people have nothing to gain. They're not selling anything. Just advocating for the legalization of it, mostly, are what these videos are. But one particular one was a lady with lymphoma, not Hodgkin's, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, but went through chemotherapy and then went through chemotherapy again with radiation. She's had multiple recurrences, one on her here, one on her thigh. Ended up being too sick. They decided to stop her. Was no longer able to tolerate any chemotherapy. Started Rick Simpson oil and was cured. So, I mean, if you have cancer, it's something to consider as far as if it's the right choice for you. I mean, me, not now, not at this time. but if it wasn't for work and my profession, I would probably, I mean, anything that I think could add to my chances of survival, I mean, I probably would do it, but not at this point. I mean, maybe if I have another recurrence, to be honest, I think I would do it. Really no negatives other than, like, mental health risks of marijuana as far as I can find. Yeah, like schizophrenia inducing. Yeah, I mean, that's really about all that I can think of. I mean, antioxidants are really good for you if you don't have cancer, or not on chemo. But there's some studies, kind of, not really great evidence, but that it could inhibit chemotherapy, and it makes sense. So antioxidants, they're stopping oxidation, that hydrogen peroxide type reaction, and that's what you want with chemotherapy, are the oxidation of these cancer cells. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be doing antioxidants either. As far as low, I do have some green tea, like occasionally, just because I need some caffeine, and I think coffee is probably bad for me with my heart kind of messing up. Uh, yeah, so that's really about it. Had my last chemo in 8 days on the 23rd of May 2017, and I will have a PET scan following, I think, 2 to 4 weeks after that. Then I'll know basically kind of how the rest of my life's going to go, hopefully, or at least the next 6 months. It's kind of scary. I mean, you don't really know what. It's a lot riding on that one day of that PET scan. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, having like a family, a daughter, a job, being young, sucks having it, but you can only worry about the things you can change. So that's all I'm doing. Budwig protocol, as far as the organic cottage cheese, vegetables as much as possible, trying to cut out all breads, no sugars, no processed foods for sure. Yeah. Any questions, or you want me to prove anything that I've said, I'll do my best to get back with you and show you the studies that I've read. And again, I'm on chemo, so my brain isn't like as good as far as me being able to tell you exactly what study, the name, the guy, who did it. But yeah, I'll do my best. All right, well, thank you guys for anyone that watched. Appreciate all the support, and love you guys.